we are in the Christmas season, as you can see, so that's fun. And I've been talking to the Lord and kind of getting a sense of what He wanted to talk to you about today through me. And He wanted to talk about fruitfulness. You know, so many of us are very aware of the areas maybe where we're not fruitful, or where we're bearing fruit that is not like happy fruit, that's not Jesus fruit, right? It's not lovely fruit. Or we're aware that we're kind of bearing good fruit and lovely fruit, but we want to bear more fruit. We want to be more productive, more impactful, whatever that is. And so this idea of fruitfulness is really part and parcel of how God made you. He made you as significant, as we kind of talked about last time, significant to do significant things. And the issue a lot of times is where you get your significance. And that is, we know the correct answer, right? We know the correct answer. If I gave you a multiple choice question, you would get this right. If you're a believer, you're going to get this from Jesus, from Father God, from Holy Spirit, from Christ in you, and all of that, from being a son, a daughter that was made in the image and likeness of God. And from that place, you do amazing things. And I've talked about this a lot. But, saying that, you were made to do great things. You were made to perform, right? Them that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. You were made for exploits. There are exploits with your name on them. And I want to be clear that not every exploit is raising the dead or, fantastic miracles, ShamWow miracles, right? Not every exploit is starting a new company and setting a new sales record and winning the beauty pageant or, whatever it is. I mean, your exploits are raising great kids, are loving well, are apologizing when, wow, that's something for you to own and that was excruciatingly hard for you to do. So there are lots of exploits that we have that don't look necessarily that what the world calls exploits, but they're incredible. Jesus said, servanthood is huge, right? That the greatest in the kingdom are the ones that are the servants, that are the least the servants. So, and this comes from the concept of, because we've been given the commandment to love, right? A new commandment I give you, that you love as I have loved, right? So this is Jesus, right? And the idea of serving is because that's what love does. Because that's an expression of love, right? Other giving love means that you serve. And let me just say this, when other giving love, when it means that you're loving you as the other, that means you're serving yourself. And I don't mean self-serving in a crappy way, so don't read that. But you're serving yourself, you're taking care of yourself. You're feeding your body well, you're attending to your emotional needs, you're drawing boundaries, you're stretching and growing, right? You are treating people well and expecting to be treated well. You're forgiving when it's hard to forgive. You're allowing God to challenge you in your personal growth process, right? You're being stretched. And then serving one another, right? What does love do? It serves the other. It's other giving. That's a sacrificial other giving. And so what does it serves? So that's why the greatest are the ones that are the servers. And so everything we do, regardless of the title, regardless of the accolades, regardless of its platform, regardless of whatever, if it's seen or unseen, it's an act of service. It's an act of love. And so that's what we're called to do. So we are called to be fruitful. So wanting to be fruitful and do something big is not necessarily wrong unless you're trying to get your identity from it. Or unless you are doing it and in the process, in the means of it, you violate love in order to accomplish something that was supposed to be designed for love. So the ends matter, the means matter, and it all involves on trusting and resting God because He is your source. So let's start to unpack this. So let's go to John 15, and I'm going to start in verse 1. He says, this is a New American Standard. It says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch that does not bear fruit, He takes away. We're going to talk about that for a second, so nobody freak out. And every branch that bears fruit, He prunes it so it may bear more fruit. So sometimes you're in a pruning season, so which means you're like decreasing in order to increase. Yeah. And I'm kind of in that season right now, but like my team is like decreasing. I'm like, oh, wow, I love these people. And it's time for you to go. And I see that it's time for you to go. It's not personal. And so you release people and bless them and believe for their upgrade while you're believing for your upgrade, but you're kind of shrinking. and in God's economy, that shrinking in order to prune you to be able to grow better and more abundant. Plus the other thing is that pruning process it also is a good check for you. Like, where am I getting my identity? Where am my security, right? So if I'm all secure and having, my security rests in having, I don't know, a big platform or something, and then the platform shrinks, well, I'm suddenly like, am I freaking out, right? You know, I literally had someone, it was really it was sweet and funny and kind of telling. I thought it was really interesting. She was from Ghana or something, maybe Nigeria, I can't remember. But anyway, she texted me and she goes, you know, you've got a big platform, which kind of cracks me up, because I'm like, really? Awesome. And she said, but you know, I'm noticing not a lot of people are commenting or whatever. And I wasn't quite sure, like, you know, so I just basically said, part of that is algorithms, part of that maybe is a pruning process, and whatever it is in the midst of it, since my identity, security, significance is not wrapped up in whether people comment on my stuff, I'm delighted. Please comment. I want to hear from you. But you know, if no, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing and let the chips fall where they may. And so, you know, and so I can rest. So if it makes like a big splash and people notice, yay! And if it just makes a little plop and whatever, and people don't really notice, yay! Because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? So you can relax. And I said, and so it's just a good test, right? So, you know, it's a good test of humility and like where you get your source from, your significance from. So that's just kind of a side, but helpful, hopefully. Let's continue. So you are already clean. So ding to ding ding, because of the word which I've spoken to you. So you're already clean. You're made clean. So you're clean on the inside. So it's not what it comes in that makes the man clean. It's what comes out. And the uncleanness is all the areas where we're operating not in line with who we are, right? It's a mistaken identity, sin, and then the consequences of sin, of mistaken identity, which is the behaviors of sin that we normally call sin, but that's not really what sin is. Okay, I just don't want to go off on a tangent. Okay, I am the vine, you are the branches. The one who remains in me and I in him bears much fruit. I lost my place, even though I know what it is. I just want to see how it's worded out here. Blah, blah, blah. I totally lost my place. Oh, for apart from me, you can do nothing. Okay, so you know, this is actually such a restful scripture for me, because since I can't do anything apart from Jesus, I'm just not going to try. So the moment it gets really hard and I feel the grindy of like self-effort, okay, I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to do that, right? There's a lot of projects, like I look back on this year and I'm like, dang, I want to get that done, and not happening this year for whatever reason. And you know what? It's okay, because I'm not going to make something happen. Like if I have to make it happen, I'm going to have to maintain it. I don't want it. I am not, right? And so I'm just like, okay, apparently there's something that needs to grow in me. Maybe it's a timing process. I don't know, but I know whatever it is, I'm not going to grind it and make it happen apart from Jesus. I do not have anything to prove, not going to do it. So, and that's just incredibly restful. So whatever it is, since I already have my significant worth, value, identity in Jesus, you know what, if these things that are important don't get accomplished, and I'm like, as a wiring, naturally I'm actually task oriented, and I love people. So what happens is I'll think of the task thing, I'll be like, but let me take care of the people. So I just always like, but my natural bent is to click things off my to do. I'm happy, like I'm getting stuff done. But I love people, so I want to love people, get stuff done, and love people along the way. Get stuff done because you love people, and love people while you're getting stuff done. That'll preach right there. That's like a good dealio right there. You can stick that up on your thing, on your social media. Okay. If anyone does not remain in me, he's thrown them in the fire. Let's be very clear what the fire is. The fire of God is the wrath of God, but nobody freak. Everybody wait. Oh, it's so good. It's the love of God. Love is a consuming fire. God is a consuming fire. And what does God consume as love? A consuming fire. What does he? Everything that's not of love's kind. So let me just ask you, ding, ding, ding. Are you of love's kind? Are you going to be consumed because you're not fruitful? Right? No. You are his son, his daughter. Excuse me? Right? You are loved. Whether you know him or not, whether you worship him or not, whether you're off worshiping Satan or doing something stupid. No, you are vastly loved. But God's fire is going to be on you as a believer, as an unbeliever, as a confused person. either camp. God's fire is going to burn everything that's not of love's kind. So an unfruitful life means one that's not in line with love. Why? You were made for love. You were marked by love to be loved, right? And so that's your ultimate thing. You're made for relationship, and everything you do was designed to be an extension of love. And so when that's not happening, what's going to get burned? Well, you're not going to get your hiney scorched for eternity. I'm sorry, I just can't do this eternal conscience torment for a transient existence and a transient sinful behavior. But God is a consuming, so he's going to consume something. So he's going to consume everything that's not of love's kind. So unfruitfulness, which is designed to be fruitfulness and love, is going to be consumed. What does that mean? So every way of being that I am, that is jealous, that is insecure, that is spiteful, that wants to harm, that is self-seeking with a self-agenda, a prideful, self-promoting, every place that takes advantage or victimizes, every place that believes lies about myself. All of those things, those will all be consumed. That's part of the conforming into the image of Christ. And let me just say this about that. Lean into it. What is God wanting? What is the wrath of God? The love wanting to consume in me so that I'm conformed into the image of Christ. Christ in me, the hope of glory. Me and Jesus looking just like Jesus in my flavor, because there's union with distinction. What is God going to be consuming that needs to be consumed? Insecurities, whatever that is, right? Okay, lean into it. See, because that consuming fire was consuming here, and I believe personally, after we, like a lot of the early church fathers believed, after we die, that process will continue when we receive it and embrace it. It's love, the experience of heaven. You're just on fire with the love of God. And if you're thumbing your nose at Jesus, denying who he is, that's going to be a torture, but it's the same fire, the fire of burning in the presence of the Lamb, because it's the fires of love. God doesn't change his personality just because you didn't make the right choice and say the prayer. Okay, but that's another discussion altogether. I just thought I'd throw that in there, and I hope I didn't trigger anybody. I love you. I'm sorry if I did, and happy to help you with that if that's a thing. And by the way, I don't have it all figured out, so just so you know. But I'm okay. I'm at rest with where I'm at, and believing Lord to bring more, because I'm assuming Well, I know what I don't know. I just don't know what I don't know. And that's the same with you. So, if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it shall be done for you. My Father is glorified by this. God is thrilled to answer prayer. That is the desires of your heart. Like, make your daddy happy. Ask me something amazing. Just as the Father's loved me, I also have loved you. Remain in my love. How do you exude love? Well, you don't like white knuckle it. I mean, it is better, let me just say, to operate in self-control and not belt the person, that is annoying you, that voted in the opposite direction or what. It's probably a good idea to do that. Okay, so self-control is a good thing, but what you really want is love to come from the inside out. And how does that happen? You remain in him. You remain in his love, which means you remain connected and aware and allowing him as the person of love to minister himself to you. And in that place, you're being conformed, transformed, and all that love just automatically comes. Love and fruitfulness of love comes from the inside out seamlessly. You don't have to work it up. You don't even have to think about it. It pops out like, dang, that was good right there. This is bigger than me. And you bear much fruit, okay? If you keep my commandments of love, okay? So we're not going back to the law. You will remain in my love. So, how do you keep it? So if you're keeping, one of the ways that you remain in his love is that you choose not to violate love. You're like, oh crap, that's a really crappy attitude right there. Like when I get the crappy attitude, like, whatever, I'm like, oh, Jesus, help, that's crap. Here it is right there. There it was. It's really ugly. Oh my God, this is so, just like, there it is. Minister to me in that place, because right now I just want to pinch their heads off. That's what I want to do. And so, and God will minister to you. And, sometimes, honestly, when people are acting so unlovely, right, and you're like, oh my God, like, just whatever. And God gives you compassion for them because he sees them, because he sees things you don't see. This is why we don't judge one another, because you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what led me to be blah, blah, blah. And I don't know what led you to be blah, blah. So who am I to sit there and judge you? Right? Now, you're looking at fruits like, that's a gross fruit right there. But judging the person, right? Okay. Just saying, not our place. Not our place. And God will correct that as a loving daddy. He disciplines those he loves. That's you. Lean into that. That discipline, that correction is part of the wrath of God. I use that term because it's important to actually come to terms with it, because it's led many people to be like, oh, forget this noise, right? Well, you know what? You were right in the sense that a wrathful, punitive, retributive God is not one to worship, right? But his wrath, that is redemptive. Oh my goodness, lean into that. Lean into that. There's only one place where wrath is listed as is the meaning of wrath is listed as retributive, and that is humans' wrath, not God's wrath. Otherwise, wrath, when it is listed, the context is, the understanding is, the roots of the understanding of that word is redemptive. So, it's like Bradley Jerzak says, wrath me. Because that's part of that being transformed and conformed into the image of Christ, right? Beautiful. Isn't that amazing? Doesn't that just make you feel good? You might just have to fall in love with Jesus all over again. Go ahead and do that. That is just a good choice. That's remaining in his love. I'm trying to figure out where I was last. Just as the Father's loved me, I have also loved you. Remain in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will remain in my love. You keep my commandment of love, right? Just as I have kept the Father's commandments and remain in his love. The firstborn of many brethren, you. These things I have spoken to you, that your joy, ding, 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 happy dance, may be full. We want full joy, baby. may be in you, that your joy may be made full. I'm going to read this from the Passion Translation because sometimes it's really good to compare and contrast, and I will comment. Okay, verse 1. I am the true sprouting vine, and the farmer who tends the vine is my Father. He cares for the branches connected to me. He cares. Let us sit this right now. Papa cares. And a lot of us have had a really hard time in the place where it's felt that Father God, Jesus, Holy Spirit do not care. And that accusation comes from human after human after human. Where were you? If you were there, because we know theologically you're omnipresent and you didn't do anything, you let all that crap out, you don't care. Okay, so he cares. He cares for the branches connected to me by lifting and propping up the fruitless branches. That's actually the meaning of being cast into the fire, of how it's translated in that NAS translation. But the other translation is lifting up and propping off the fruitly branches. So if you're fruitless, God's wrath in your fruitlessness is going to be taking care of you. What is he doing? He's lifting you up. I made you to be fruitful. He's propping you up. You're having a hard time standing up on your own. So I'm in my wrath, my burning away everything that's not like me. Well, let me say, what is like me? Oh, I care. So I am tender. So I'm not going to break that bruised reed. I'm not going to snuff out that smoldering wick. I'm going to prop it up and lift it up. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness, you might have to fall in love with God all over again. Good choice. Do that. And pruning every fruitful branch to a greater harvest. So God's wrath, I'm just using that a lot so we can kind of get like happy with it, okay? Is that pruning, it feels punitive, or it feels like I'm stepping back or whatever. Well, you're so adored, like, okay. Listen, I think I said this last time in my last recording, but it's so good. In the movie Cool Runnings, so it came out in the 1990s. It's about a Jamaican bobsled team going to the Olympics. It's great. You need to get that. It's just awesome. You need to watch it. It'll just make you happy. But there's one line by the coach that was basic. He'd fallen from grace, he cheated, and they took away his gold medal, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. And he said to his teammate, that was his team leader, that he was coaching, he said, if you're not enough without the gold medal, you'll never be enough with it. And that's really true. That is so true. So the bottom line is, you are enough. You are more than enough, yeah? And so being enough and resting, so which means if your platform goes up, if it goes down, if it's okay, if you get 5 likes or 5 million likes, if your video goes viral or your video crashes, you're significant, loved, and adored. Yes, all of that. Okay. So if you're being pruned, you're okay. You're like leaning into the pruning. Apparently that needed to go. Bye-bye. And sometimes God will prune good things because they're a limitation to the better things, right? And so it's not necessarily like you didn't necessarily do something wrong. God, what did I do? Did I sin? You know what I mean? Well, I mean, number one, remember, sin is a mistaken identity. But did you have sinful and sinful behavior comes out of a mistaken identity? But maybe you did do some sinful behavior out of mistaken identity. Well, that's part of what he's confronting. Sometimes that'll confront that. When we're pruned and we're just having a fit, maybe we were valuing things we shouldn't value so much, right? So that, that comes up. It's like, oh crap, I didn't know that was in there. That's really ugly. I guess that needs to go. Jesus, help me with that because it's really ugly and I don't want to be ugly, right? Okay, I don't want to be jealous. I don't want to be insecure, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all that stuff. Okay, you get it. You are so smart. Okay, all right. And I'm going back to my verse. Okay, the words I've spoken over you have already cleansed you, so you are pre-cleansed. Isn't that nice to know? And maybe, the things that might need to be cleansed, maybe if you're feeling defiled, you may need God to cleanse your conscience with his blood, right? So you're like, okay, I'm good now. Because if you violate your own conscience, that's a thing. You may need to forgive yourself. You may need to own it. And you may need to ask forgiveness. Not that he hasn't forgiven you because you were pre-forgiven, but that's the process of receiving it. So that pre-forgiven forgiveness, you're feeling that's like, okay, it feels so much better. And then if you still are having a guilty conscience, well, Jesus just cleansed that conscience. I just can't get over it. This was such a wicked thing that I did, such an evil thing that I did, and I did it on purpose, and I didn't have remorse, but now I'm feeling like crappy about it. So whatever, just have him cleanse your and then on top of that, clean up your mess. If there's something you can do, well, do it. Otherwise, forgive yourself and receive your cleansing and move on. Okay, that was bonus right there. Okay. So you must remain in life union with me, for I remain in life union with you. Do you know Jesus has such a hold on you that whether you're off in the hinterlands of stupidity, okay, he's still got you. It's like, I'm here. Yeah, I know you don't like me anymore, but I'm here. I know you think I don't exist, but I'm here. Whatever that is, right? Okay. And that creates some security. Isn't that nice to know that God has you, even you when you can't like see your way out of a paper bag? That's awesome, right? Isn't that so? God, you can be so secure in him. Isn't this amazing? That it's not based on your behavior. Oh, that's the good news right there. I love it. For as a branch severed from the vine will not bear fruit, so your life will be fruitless unless you live life intimately joined to mine. So it's not an issue of whether or not you're joined. Well, Jesus joined you to himself before the foundation of the world, and he didn't ask your permission. Ephesians 1:4. Isn't that amazing? That'll rattle some cages right there. But I mean, I'm not here to rattle cages. I'm here to help set you free so that you can enjoy and see God more clearly and enjoy him more and live more in intimate life union awareness of that life union that's already present. It's an awakening, yes? An awakening versus, oh wow, I said a prayer and suddenly Jesus sucked me into the vine. You know what I mean? It's not, your prayer doesn't save you. Jesus does. Okay? So good. But I'm awakened to the fact that you already joined me before the foundation of the world. He joined, right? Ephesians 1:4. We've talked about this before. And it's so good. It's just so happy. Isn't it just fun to connect dots? It's so great. But when you live separated from me, you are powerless. So this is in our minds, because you're only separated, you're only alienated from God, and that in your mind, right? So where's the work? It's in your mind. It's not external reality. It's in your mind. But whatever you're experiencing in your mind is going to be what you experience. So you can be in hell in your life when God's got you seated in heavenly places. So, right? And so what is that? That's be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So what are we doing? We're renewing our minds. We're reawakening to truth that was already present. So that truth that you know have in the innermost parts sets you free. It's not the truth that you stuff into your intellect. It's good to do that, but that's not going to set you free. Okay, it's what you encounter and engage with, and it becomes a part of who you are because you're one with the person who is truth. Yeah, and that will set you free. It's beautiful. If a person is separated from me, he is discarded so that the branches are gathered up and thrown in the fire to be burned. So what does that mean? Does that mean God's throwing you away? No, it means that love is a consuming fire, consuming everything that's not of love's kind. He's not consuming you. He's consuming all these places that feel alienated, that are giving God the flying finger, and he's your source. It's like, I can't give to you if you give me the flying finger. I can't breathe my life into you if you're giving me the flying finger, right? So maybe that pride, that whatever, that offense, that whatever, independence, maybe that just needs to be burned up. That's probably not going to feel good. Just saying. And he's not doing it to punish you. It's just the process. doesn't always feel good. Even when you're not giving him the flying finger, but you've got these fallen ways of being and he's really kind of nailing you on it in a happy way. You want to be nailed by God, right? Not in a bad way, but in the way it's like, okay, that right there, it's kind of like Paul Young says, you're not a piece of shit, but sometimes you're full of shit. Okay, I'm just saying that's good. I know it's a little crass. I apologize for anybody who got offended, but the truth is, I like it because it just hammers it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is exactly where we're at. And so, if that's what's going on, we need to be called out on our crap, don't we? Yes, we do. Okay, we're gonna keep going, and I'll find my place. But if you live in life union with me, and if my words live powerfully in you, that's awareness, that's awakening, that's meditation, that's being transformed, that's practicing the presence, right? That's allowing him to minister you. That's turning your affection to him. It's like, oh yeah, you're already there. That's so good. Thank you. I needed that, right? That's all of that. But if you live in life union with me, and if my words live powerfully within you, then you can ask whatever you desire and it will be done. Why? Because you're a believing believer. Actually, Paul Young is, I've been taking a lot of stuff from him, so I so enjoy him. Check out his stuff if you haven't already. There's a lot on there, not to mention his books and everything else. But he says that really the issue of belief is not as much believing the way as we are talking about it, but just trusting, like, wow, one way or the other, this is going to be good. Well, if you've got the attitude, I have no idea. I'm so confused right now. This is hitting me and I'm perplexed and I have no idea. Like, okay, wow, they're cold. Wow, then, okay, we're, all right. I'm just taking it all in. But you're at the place, but I trust you, Jesus, and not in a religious way. Sometimes we can get religious and annoying, but in a way that's really true. Like, I'm settled, like I trust you. I know you're good. So one way or the other, this is turn out good. This is not good. Okay, let's be clear. This is not good, but it will turn out good. Why? Because you're good, and I trust you, and I'm living in life union with you, and you're going to take care of me. You're going to take care of mine. One way or the other, this is going to be good. And that is a really good way to train yourself to react to things. Well, this really sucks, but one way or the other, this is going to turn out good. If you keep on telling yourself that, you're going to keep yourself mentally stable, mentally happy. You're going to keep yourself out of depression, out of sticking your head in the oven because things look so hopeless and all that kind of stuff, right? But one way or the other, this is going to turn out good. I'm just saying, the beginning of 2020, the Lord talked to me about, shaking, and he was shaking. There's all these things that he was shaking, and he talked to me about upgrades. And I'm like, well, if it's now, December the 31st at 12:59 p.m., of 2020, and you haven't gotten your upgrade, well, that upgrade is still coming. So you know what? So just trust, rest. He's good. He loves you. He has his best interests at heart. And if you're not believing that, well, okay, nobody freak. But you know what? Let the Lord minister to you every place where that's broken down, where you're having a hard time believing that, I've been praying for this. I've been working for this. I've been standing for this. I've been doing this, and this, and nothing's working. I've done everything I need to do 5 zillion times, and the right things aren't happening to me. All of that. Well, one way or the other, if you've developed an offense, even if you didn't know it, well, allow the Lord to minister that to you, because he cares and he's powerful and you're one with him. And baby, it's not over. It's not over. And so rest into the Lord, recline into the Lord, and let him bring you on the other side of all these fires upgraded. Yeah? Okay. When your lives bear abundant fruit, you demonstrate that you are my mature disciples who glorify my Father. You demonstrate. Are you his disciples? Are you in him and mature and all those kind of things? Yeah. It's like, are you demonstrating that you're his daughter, you're his son, regardless of what was the deal. But when these things happen, you're demonstrating that. So it's like you're manifested as a son and daughter of God, and now these exploits happen. You're demonstrating it. Did the exploits make you a son and daughter of God? Did you have to earn your sonship, daughtership? It's silly. We were chosen. But I'm saying if you're struggling with that, that's not silly. That's just a pain point, and it's understandable. But when you think about it, it's like, yeah, that's kind of really not, doesn't make a lot of sense, right? And so, and then you operate out of that place of sonship and daughtership, and you do these awesome things. You're demonstrating. Yeah, out of that place. Okay. Ding, 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 ding. I love each one of you with the same love the Father loves me. You must continually let my love nourish your hearts. So maybe your heart hasn't gotten enough of the right nutrients. Maybe you've been beaten up. Maybe you had another person walk out. Maybe you treated someone crappy and they treated you back crappy. Maybe you were just rejected. Maybe they hated you without a cause. Maybe you voted in the way that someone else thinks, oh my goodness, that's just right next to the Antichrist. Whatever that is help us, Jesus. We are so silly sometimes, right? I am heading somewhere though. But you are loved. Let his love nourish your hearts. If you keep my commands, just saying, you will live in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands. For I continually live nourished and empowered by his love. My purpose for telling you these things is that the joy that I experience will fill your hearts with overflowing goodness. Filling your hearts with overflowing goodness. Isn't that beautiful? He wants you to be filled, gladness and goodness, right? Overflowing gladness. Oh my goodness, God is a happy God who wants happy kids. Yes, he does, right? And that's you. And so, you know what? God wants you to be happy. That's not your situation, happiness is situational, joy is eternal. Let's just settle down and not be silly. He just wants you happy. Settle down, be happy. You know why I like happy? Because happy is a simple, kind of childlike word. That's why I like happy. And plus, it's not religious. So I really like it. But children when they're well loved and nurtured, they're happy. They're happy. Now, they may be joyous and things like that, but joyous feels a little bit more like existential. It's kind of out there, right? So let's not complicate things. Let's be happy because we have a happy God, because his love is overflowing and nourishing us, and it's out of that place fruitfulness will stream from within us. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, so I'm going to sign off. Trying to think if I want to promote a resource. I don't really feel like doing it. You can you can find everything at catherinetoon.com. I have a products page, and there's a lot of stuff to download for free. So just take advantage, right? Like, take advantage of the freebies. I vote for that. Share this with someone who honestly is feeling kind of crappy. Share it with them. And I love you guys. Have an amazing day.